Good night, the Caribbean. Good night, world. Anybody excited tonight? Anybody excited? Anybody's mind is on Barbados? This is the Marcia Week Show, and we are coming to you live from Barbados. It is an awesome, beautiful night. Woo! Anybody excited about what is happening in Barbados? Yes, the opposition is growing. The opposition is strong. Yes, the opposition is growing. The opposition is strong. We are formidable. We are that loyal opposition. Huh? That loyal opposition. That's who we are, and we are strong. Yes. Ye loyal sons and daughters, all 280,000 of us, or 280,000 of us. Yes, and strong. Good night to everybody who's logged on. And of course, we're going to ask you to like and to share. And if you have not subscribed, what's taking you so long? Please hit that subscription button there. All right, and that bell for the notification, so you will know whenever we're on. So go ahead and ding and subscribe. Okay, wonderful, loyal sons and daughters. Loyal opposition. We are strong. The opposition in Barbados is strong. Yes, we are strong. Our voice is strong. Our voice is being heard. There are so many things that we have brought to the attention of the people of Barbados through this forum, through you, the viewers, through the panelists. And we have seen results. We've seen so many results, guys. And there are so many programs and initiatives that are coming through this forum. And so I'm excited about that, because we don't want to be part of the problem. We want to be part of the solution. Wonderful. And so this is the Marcia Week Show, where we mobilize. Yes, we educate, we agitate, we motivate right here on the Marcia Week Show. If you've been educated through the Marcia Week Show, if you've been motivated, agitated, good agitation. Sometimes you need good agitation. Yeah. If you've been mobilized by this forum, I want you to give a thumbs up. Give a thumbs up. And let all of us, myself, the panelists, everybody know how your life has been impacted by the Marcia Week Show. And you know what? You viewers, through you keep my phone hot. All that is happening, you send it to me on my little phone here. Yeah, and you keep me going. The encouragement that we get, it is a relationship. We have a relationship. You give to us, and we give back to you. And you give encouragement to us wherever we go. The panelists, Rose and Caswell and Kimar. And by the way, Kimar is due to be back the first week in September. And Caswell is supposed to be on tonight. I trust he'll be able to come on. He's on Sundays and Fridays, as we had discussed before with you, because he can't be on 4 nights a week anymore. But he's on Sundays and Fridays. All right. So today's Friday is due to be on. So I trust he will be here. But we are all the panelists, Maxine McLean, all the panelists, even those that we started off with, Heather Cole and Lynette Eastman, of course, Glyde Murray. We can't forget Glyde Murray, 81 years old almost, and he is kicking and going. We want to do a very, very special birthday celebration for Mr. Glyde Murray. We want to do that. He's going to be 81, and he still comes on here, and he's teaching, and he's sharing his opinions, and he's giving us history. And it's always exciting when he comes on. And he's 81. We want to acknowledge that. We want to acknowledge that, really. So welcome to everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm here chatting away, and I listen, you are all so important, guys. You make the Marcia Week show worth the while. Judy Jilks and Queen Bee. Oh wow, wow. That is wonderful. Anika Hope, wonderful. Maureen Armstrong, wonderful. Teroni Hall, Teroni always calls in, and oh, he's bigging up everybody. Oh my Lord. Owen Hines, good evening. Bim the beautiful. Hey, Bim is beautiful. That's right. Bim is beautiful. Bim is beautiful. Marcia, is this which Marcia is this? Is this my 81-year-old Marcia who's joining tonight? Is this you? Is this you? Listen, I have a story to tell you about Marcia, but just not yet, if that's the same Marcia. Janetta Calendar, good evening. FX Trading, BB. Good evening. Alice Murray, how are you, Janetta Calendar? And a lot of these people, they've been logged on way before 7 o'clock, you know. I tell you, Sandra Dixon, wonderful, wonderful, just in time. Oh, wow, wow. Tony Paris, Marcia Miller. You see, I don't know which Marcia it is. I know I'm Marcia Weeks. I don't know which Marcia this is, okay? Tony Paris. Oh, wow, wow, wow. Mystic Angel, how are you? Oh, goodness, goodness. Oh, wonderful. Sean Yard, Tyrone Green. That's wonderful. Rosemary Lane, good evening. How are you? Sir Alfred Benjamin from Brooklyn, NYC. Labor Day weekend is coming up. That is so good. That is so right and so good. Yes, 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 yes. Pauline Maynard, how are you? Beverly Prescott, how are you? I remember when I lived in New York, we used to go to the Labor Day parade, you know, just to kind of reconnect to our heritage. Yes, and eat a whole lot of Caribbean food. Oh Lord, and the Bajans, I tell you, they used to do the worst, man. Coming down on spring on Eastern Parkway. Llewellyn Eiffel, it's me. Oh goodness. Goodness, 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 goodness. Yes, 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 yes. Everybody's saying yes, yes, Tony Paris. Yes, she's 81 years young. Tony Paris is correcting me. Jacqueline, Aline. Oh, wow, wow. Marcy is watching from London. Hey, Marcy, how are you doing? Oh, wow. Rollinston Broom. I wonder if Cecilia is back from London already. I know she told me she would be back. Okay, Bonnie Springer. Did I say your name? Good night, Bonnie Springer. If not, you get a good night twice. You get twice. You get twice the greeting. Oh boy, it is great to have you here, Judith and Clark. Great to have you. This is a loyal opposition, all 280,000 of us strong. We are the ones who understand that we need a strong opposition. We are the ones who know that. And I can tell you that the opposition is strong. The opposition is strong. The opposition is strong. We are strong and we are moving on, guys. We are moving on. This is wonderful. Well, let's get into our hey, David. Wonderful. Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Alvin Brown, good night. Good night. How are you? How are you, Alvin? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. This is wonderful. Merton. Hey, Merton. You okay? Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. That's great. That's great. Leanna Bell, good to see you. Guys, we need you to share. Did you share yet? All right. Well, if you've shared already and you've liked and you've subscribed, well, we are going to go into our national anthem, okay? And so I'm going to ask everybody to stand, unless you're driving. Unless you are driving, I'm going to ask you to stand at attention to the national anthem of Barbados. Let me tell you, the opposition is strong, I tell you. All right, so let's stand, guys, to the national anthem of Barbados. Yes, firm craftsmen of our faith. The opposition is strong. Listen. Did you all just see the march? See us marching in the street? I was there dancing with the flag. What great memories, guys. But listen, we're not going to keep that in the past, you know. They want us to forget about it. You know, they like to think that we're 9-day wonders. And I just saw Eldad Ben. I don't know if that's the same Eldad. Eldad, are you in Barbados? You're calling for another march? I doubt if Eldad is in Barbados. But listen, guys. I want to know from you. Are you ready to march again? Are you ready to march again? My phone has been going, and people, you know, I saw somebody Saturday, and you know what they said to me? Marcia, I went to Payless and I bought a pair of sneakers because the one I had and I was using for the march, it got destroyed, right? It got worn down, but I have a new pair of sneakers because I'm ready to march. And because I don't want my friend, there's a friend there, I don't want to call her name. I don't want her to lead a march against the panel, against the Marcy Week show, because that's what she told me the last time. She said, if you all don't march, we're going to march against you all. So listen, guys, we are, based on what I'm hearing from everybody, and you know what we've tried to do, it's not about me, and I don't set the marches. I try to put my ear to the ground and I listen to what the people are saying. And the people, they have been writing me, they have been calling me, they are ready to march. Are you ready to march? If you're ready to march, tonight we're doing it together. It's very interactive tonight, all right? If you're ready to march, give me the thumbs up. Give me the thumbs up. We can get us on the road by next week, Saturday. Next week, Saturday. And my proposal, and what I'm hearing from people, it's about the crime situation. It's about the crime situation. And the question is, can we do a solemn march? How about us doing a solemn march with our placards that CG had made for us? We have to add some more names to it. When we had done, the last thing we did was on crime and violence right there in Christchurch, in Hastings Plaza, the roadside parliament. And we had those placards with the names of everybody. On the placard, those who had died by the gun. And there we had 28 names then. Today, my fellow Barbadians, there are 33 of our young men, one young woman dead by the gun right here in Barbados. 33 dead by the gun right here in Barbados. And I believe that it's time that we call on ourselves, not just the government, but we call on ourselves. We call on families. We call on communities. We call on churches. We call on businesses. And of course, we call on the government because they play a big role in terms of policies. We can't do anything to the legal system. You know, we can't do it. We can't make policies in Barbados, but we can advocate for it. You see? And so I believe that we need to hit the streets, and it needs to be a solemn march as we remember those slain. I believe it needs to be a solemn march. And there are lots of questions we want to ask of our government. Lots of them. Before I go any further into this, so people are okay. You're saying P2A, they weren't all by the gun. Okay, so they're homicides. And the point is that they're homicides. Okay. So folks, Kamar saying march like your lives depended on it. Yes, it does. Because a lot of people are afraid. A lot of people are afraid, and we played you that little clip of the that young man who had the thing on his face, and I think I'm going to play that again tonight at some point, because we need to come to grips with what is happening in this country, and we need to come to grips with what is happening. We need to be able to find solutions. You know, I've put together, my editors put together a little clip here that I'm going to play for us. And it is the citizens reacting to the violence around them. And I want you, as you're listening, to don't brush it aside. I want you to really take in what everybody's saying, and to put yourself in their position. Where you live, you might not hear the gunshots, but these people are very close to it, or had been very close to it, and they're giving their account of it. So it's the citizens reacting. And my hope is that we would listen. Don't get and start typing so quickly. Listen, okay?
Right, it happened about after 12, I hear these 3 gunshots. And then so they see police, they're searching and thing. And they see them bury them out in the bush. And then this morning they just there any day. And I don't know what they're finding on there, but yeah, those after midnight, the men bury them out in the bush.
20 past 12 around there. All I hear is gunshots. I hear before. I was in my bed. I hear like out. No, at that time, more gunshots. To be honest, something needs to be done about it. Definitely something needs to be done about it. You've got to find the source of where these guns coming from.
Never had all this kind of thing, but no, they remain just in care. You know what I mean? So I don't know what they're going to do about it. People that storm out government this, but the government can get rid of crime just so, man. Government, you know that too.
I just heard the shots. Look and see. Car was turned over.
Yeah, he was ready.
Yes, he was. Shot at him. Shot him in the car while he was driving. When he get there, the car was turning over. He turned over, he was driving, but the ambulance not too long to get there. That's all I can tell you.
I just heard gunshots, and I just come out. I was in the gallery, just heard the gunshot. It could have been about 9:30 or something like that. I just saw a girl. She was running coming down the road. I didn't even want to go because I was scared. I can't even talk. No, I can't even talk. Oh my God! Listen, again with a hand. I don't know where you're going to, but again with a hand. Every day somebody dropping. Again with a hand. I don't know where you're going to. This is curfew, and a curfew can't happen because look, it happening in the daytime. Shooting happening everywhere, anytime.
I was in the yard, but I heard hitting, and when they have a corner, somebody get shot. But then saw her to see how the young people going along.
Look, tell you he's a nice guy, down to earth, friendly. Don't get in trouble, I don't see getting in trouble now and then. I think I know you're coming here and seeing you and thinking, but from what I explained, meeting him and thinking, he's a very cool guy. I don't see getting in trouble now and then.
He said he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
What's his name?
Ted. He's a good guy. Don't cause him trouble. He deserves to go down like that.
I was inside watching cricket. All I can tell you, I hear shots like in Gaza, and then I look outside and I see smoke, like if they were fogging.
Gun smoke.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was real shots. When I tell you shots, shots where I'm where according to the lyric. Basically, the only one person died. Honestly, when I come out and I saw him, shot in his head. It could have been 6 or 7 more people like that.
Have about 9:30, 10 o'clock, anywhere between there. That's inside laying down, just hear about 10 shots. Pop, pop, pop. Then another 5. A lot of people just started praying. They have people running all the boats, so you wouldn't know who was who or anything, but it's very sad. He's a very nice young man. They were just laying it more. From the other gap, just in Deer's Line. But it was very nice. I mean, they could really do something about it. There are too many young people, and sometimes when you hear they have it, it's bare nonsense. People talking about the government, but the government really can't stop nobody from doing something that they want to do.
I've never done more when Kelly's around. Kelly's a jovial, happy person that sometimes people used to feel he's making a sport.
For a long time, for real years, when he was small. He was a bad fella, they used to get in trouble, go work, I'm back home. Yeah, had the car, nice little car, he driving in a tiny little street on the street.
I just saw the customers and staff running coming up from the exit, and that was just it. The lady was like, they were shooting outside, someone is outside shooting. I saw shaking up, like, this is my biggest fear, that something like this comes so close. So like, I just can't really get more to really come down from the emotions that's going on right now. This is like complete madness, like, for these to be happening often and so frequent, it's just total madness. I mean, they could really stop. They could really stop. We were talking and saying how it's like getting really out of control and like why is it going on for so long? Why they keep constantly doing this all the time and in populated areas and where people are, like it's just so unacceptable.
Kind of cool young fella. I ain't really know much about him, away from like seeing him, showing him. I was like, it just happened quickly. I didn't even know who it was, I guess. So you hear about it, you hear people calling it news, but I just hear them. You don't know that's the day-to-day thing where everybody know just taking up guns and shooting. Everybody just panicking. You just see everybody else panicking, everybody else fleeing, going this place, running, going that place. So for me, I just stand up still. You try to figure out what's going on. It ain't no silly, and that was it. I mean, it gonna stop. Stop.
Yeah, being concerned. Yeah. Concern. That's the only word they want to use. Concern. Justice should be served. Justice should be served for that young boy. Definitely.
I don't fear all this here should be going on. Because remember, all we want live. Life is about living and loving one another and trying to better yourself in life. But where how things is going, people tell themselves they may want to live long. So I don't know.
I don't like it. The parents need to parent their children. That's all I have to say. Parents need to parent their children. I parented mine, but these parents nowadays they want parenting themselves.
Oh my goodness. This is really, really sad. Very, very sad. And this is very sad. I mean, you hear young people, I hear voices that sound like young people say, it gotta stop. It gotta stop. Concerned. I've never seen it like this before. People saying, as the leader of the opposition was saying today at the press conference, that you're having people, they're killing people in 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock midday, at where people are, wherever, where it doesn't matter. We're in a crisis, and it's very obvious that this government does not know what to do. This government does not know what to do. Tonight, I'm calling on every one of us. I'm calling on myself. I'm calling on you. I'm calling on families. I'm calling on churches. I'm calling on businesses. I'm calling on communities. White, black, Chinese, everybody living in here. Yes, we don't see any white boys getting shot, but it's only a matter of time, white people in Barbados. White Barbadians, it's just a matter of time. It's not just our issue. It's all of us. The churches, the mosques, the temples. The police cannot do it on their own. We do not have a policy on crime. The programs that they have put, they're not working. What are we going to do? Sit down like sitting ducks and wait on the government? We can no longer wait on this inept government. We can no longer wait on them. This is too serious. The word on the streets to the politicians who are watching. The boys, the young men on the street are saying that a lot of you are responsible for what's happening on the streets. And I'm not going to pretend on here. That is what they're saying. And as there's a God, I'm not lying. I was told, and I'm being told every time I ask a question of our young men, they say to me, the powers that be, they know where the source is. They know who the guys are. They know what is happening. In fact, the accusation from the guys on the street is that some of our politicians are very much involved. Politicians, is that true? Folks, don't listen to the chat, that chatter in the chat there. See, those kinds of people in the chat, that they are part and parcel of what we're facing right now, because we won't open up our eyes and look and see what is happening in this country. The reality is this: we can no longer wait on this government for an answer, for solutions. They are not capable. They came to us only about 6 weeks ago. They had a press conference and they said they had it under control. The Prime Minister said we're going to play some football. Well, we've had 7 killed so far, saying that we're going to play the football. This government, they have not a clue as to what they're doing. Citizens of Barbados, citizens, listen to me. Come here, listen. We have to do something. We are enough. We're smart enough. We don't need to sit down and keep waiting on government. They're not coming. Some of these politicians are too involved. Some. Now, my biggest question is this. Where is Corrine? He's supposed to be the czar on this. He was brought in, was hired by us. He was brought in, being paid. He's still being paid, isn't he? He's not fired. He's still being paid. But where is he? Are we entitled to ask that question? Are we entitled to ask, where is Corey Lane? How can we be paying someone we don't hear from him? Is he sick? Is he out of the island? Has he resigned? We've got to hold these people accountable. And some of us, we're not going to get serious about it until it's our grandchildren, our children, God forbid, our brothers. Because you know what it is too? And Mrs. Corbin is there and she'll be coming on. But you know what is happening too? What I realize here? Most of these people who are dying are men. And in this society and throughout the world, and especially a society like this, that, you know, the women are getting ahead in the society, and you can all stone me women for it, but it is so. Look around you. When we hear another guy, another boy, another young boy shot, it doesn't affect us so much. And then let this have been young women. But we don't value the people that are dying, you know. We don't value them. Before the week is up, I'm going to bring those pictures again and make you uncomfortable. I'm going to bring those pictures again and I'm going to put them on here and I will make you uncomfortable. Because they're humans. This government has not a clue what they're doing. It's years now. Years. And from the moment they entered office, 1 year later, crime went up 72 or 73%. I showed you the graphs on here before. Yeah, that's what happened. They have not a clue. And you know, I should take that back. They might have a clue. Now, on Sunday, just before, let me just give this announcement before Mrs. Corbin comes to us. There is the town hall on dealing with crime, commission on crime. A lot of you have a lot to say. This is a good space to go to say it. It's going to be at the George Street Auditorium. This is put on by the DLP. I was sent this flyer today. It's not been hosted by me, but it has to do with crime. And everybody, we need all hands on deck. And so whichever party is doing something, I'm going to promote it. Okay? So there is a town hall on the Commission on Crime led by Miss Berla, the PISA attorney at law. And it's going to be at the George Street Auditorium Sunday, September 1st. Okay, and it's at 4:30 p.m. Yeah, 4:30 p.m. And so go on down. It's your business. The crime is everybody's business. Okay, important. And listen to the commission and share. They want you to come. They want you to speak. There'll be microphones there for you to ask the questions and have the discussions and all of that. Yes. And while I'm on, let me bring Rose in here before I get stuck talking too much. But I want to say that there is George Street is a buzz tonight. Yes, I'm being told there is a lady who works in the office there because they're still operating. They're going strong. I told you. And it's Wood, one of the volunteers in the office there. Today, she celebrates 70 years. So they're doing a big party there at the DLP headquarters, right there at George Street Auditorium tonight. And also they're celebrating the appointment of Andre Worrell as senator. That is the acting president has been appointed as a senator. I'm sure you know that happened yesterday. and there is a big celebration, big party at George Street, and they might be partying for some other things too, possibly. But there's a big there's a big celebration. Just put it like that. There's big celebration tonight at the DLP headquarters, right there at the George Street Auditorium. They are having a grand old time there, right? And all is well. All is well. Well, let me welcome Mrs. Corbin, Mrs. Rose Corbin. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Yes,
Good
how are you
evening to you,
doing?
Marcia.
Can you hear me?
Not very clearly.
Okay. Okay. I'm hoping.
Yes,
Are you
I
guys?
can now. I
You
can.
can. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Listen, I don't think we have seen or spoken to each other since Sunday at the conference, the worship session at the conference.
Okay. It was a good time.
Yes. 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 I'm not sure if she's hearing me. I'm not sure if you're hearing me.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me, Rose?
Yes, please, I can.
Okay, wonderful. Well, let me go right into your presentation tonight.
Yes,
Go ahead,
please.
take it away, Rose.
Yes. And I was listening backstage to the concerns about the ongoing crime and violence, and what next? What next? And we've been here for the last couple of months since we've had the upsurge, um, coming from the people, coming from civil society. Many suggestions for in terms of solutions and responses. And I am still waiting to see some of these being embraced and um, transitioning from just comments and observations, but to actions that respond to the realities out there. Um, it doesn't sit well at all. It doesn't sit well at all, and we continue to pray for peace and try to do our best one on one to see how we can help. That's all I can say. Sometimes there are very few occasions when I feel helpless, but with this ongoing activity, one feels helpless because clearly it needs to be addressed more drastically from the top, from governmental level, and quickly too. It's being drawn out now, too drawn out. And my heart goes out to the families, the friends, the residents, and the communities that have been affected, and some communities multiple times, in a week or in a month. That can be traumatic, and I do hope too that they will put in place counselors within the community to address the stress, the trauma that occurs, and that follows and that lingers. So not only are we calling to catch the criminals and stop the violence, but I do hope that the there will be counseling centers set up in the community to help to counsel, bereavement counseling. For example, it's more than politicians walking around and pointing at the bullets and the cameras following. It's more than that. We need response, a different type of response. And I'm asking for community counseling that will help the community members, those directly affected, those who live in fear, those who are shell-shocked more or less, that kind of community intervention will be in place. So Marcia, we didn't necessarily want to start there, but it's a reality, and I could not go into my session without commenting also and lending support to you, Marcia, on the matter. So thank you. And may I, with my usual greeting, reach out to the audience, the viewers, and say good evening, loyal sons and daughters all, firm craftsmen of our faith. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. And my session this evening, I have no PowerPoints. I just want to share from my observation what has caused me consternation and concern from the events of the last few days. And so I would have as my theme, matters arising, consternation and concerns. And you would know, Marcia, that I did not engage or participate or speak to the internal matters of the DLP, and not that I was not concerned, but I watched how it would play out and how it would be resolved. And I continue to watch. I continue in that mode. I don't want to exhaust that, speak to that tonight, but my consternation, and I capture it on the three sections, and here we go. I preface it on the fact that I grew up in a village, church village, St. Philip. I loved my village. And in that village, I witnessed many households fighting. I mean, there was not a day where a household, especially those that had many members, siblings, and extended family members, where there was not a quarrel, there was not a fight, there was not a brawl. And at times the fighting and the brawls could be contained within the house. But because the village was close, the houses were close, you could still hear. Sometimes the brawl and the fighting would spill out into the road, and the neighbors would gather. But what I do know about that is that I cannot recall seeing external interference where people would jump in and take sides or interfere with the family, we would look on. The intervention would come if lives were threatened, if things were getting out of hand, if someone's life was endangered. Some person from outside in the crowd would step in to part to say enough is enough. But never did I hear calls for injury, calls for pain, calls for destruction, calls for death to members and to the household. Persons would prefer them to end it and, without calls for permanent dislocation or damage or injury or even death. And we would notice in those households, some members would stay after the fight. Those who were decided this is not the household for me, they would leave. Some would leave and later return. Some would leave and don't return. Some would stay. And that is what we have been seeing with the Democratic Labour Party. However, I became bothered and I asked the question, what is going on in my people's head? And remember, though I attended the service on Sunday, I am not a member of the DLP. I decided I would attend when I heard who was going to be the preacher for the morning. The person I was told did not preach, but I was glad to be there to lend support to Reverend John Carter, who I know from my youth up. He was my district youth president in the days of the Pilgrim Holiness. He was one of those young ministers who would ride a motorcycle or bicycle from town to rural parishes and churches to preach and to teach and to encourage young people and the youth department. I have great respect for Reverend John Carter. I know him also from Family Faith Freedom Barbados and his work there. And also we had the opportunity to come together in 2018 to be part of Solutions Barbados to offer ourselves to the public. I know and I respect Reverend John Carter. So I was pleased, Marcia, to be there, not as a spectator, not as a member, but as I would have done any Sunday, attending my home church or any other church where I'm invited or I feel led to be part of. So I want to say that where I am coming from is not about the DLP and my loyalty to the DLP. But when my consternation and matters arising out of this, I ask myself what's going on in my people's head when I hear loud, vociferous calls and wishes for the destruction and death of the DLP. I asked myself, is this for real? The death and destruction of the DLP, an institution formed 69 years ago, certainly about a year and a half before I came on the scene. And I consider myself, I'm glad to be alive. And why would there be a call for an institution at 69 years in existence that has made such an indelible historic contribution to Barbados, particularly in its early stages? And we are calling, I am hearing vociferous, loud, sometimes spiteful calls for and wishes for the destruction and death of the party, an institution that represents democracy and brings a balance to our country, to our nation. Don't these persons who have been calling for the death of the DLP and who are still wishing for the death of the DLP, although they are trying to bring a semblance of order and representation to the land, don't they know that without a physical institution or organization called opposition, whether present in the House of Assembly or existing as an entity or a body outside of the House of Assembly, that you can point your fingers at and say there is an opposition party that exists? Don't they know that without that entity, those who are calling for the death of the DLP, don't they know that without that, we are being exposed and left to the whim and fancy and determination of those who have not majority power, but all and total power and control in the lower house of Parliament, and by extension in the upper house, and dare I say, wherever their political tentacles reach and grab. I wonder, Marcia, that bothers me when I go on social media or when I get things forwarded to me, to hear that my people who are supposed to be intelligent, schooled, some more schooled than others, and they want the DLP to die. Don't they know that that same party was formed 69 years ago in 1995 by the late Honorable Excellency Errol Barrow, after he was 4 years in the House of the Assembly as a member of the BLP. And he separated himself, he and the late Sir James Cameron Tudor, he and the late Sir Frederick Sleepy Smith, and 26 others, 66 years ago around this time, they formed the DLP. They broke away from the BLP. So breaking away, forming new parties, or even going back to other parties in New Marcia, I mean, let's say, they will say you're from boat here. So let me tell you, boat here that in you, we can see 69 years ago it occurred. So that is my concern. One of my concern is the matters arising this vociferous call for the death when other countries are giving their lives for opposition in their land. And we are hearing the Kadaid, the Kadanawivith. Another matter arising. I ask myself, and I'm not the only person asking this question, what is going on? And my people say, when I hear loud, consistent calls and wishes for a 30-0 election outcome a third time, that's madness. That's insanity. After we see, okay, we will say get a break, 2018 to 2022. 2022 now to 2024, instead of a break, instead of seeing progress, instead of seeing change, things are going downhill. And you are still saying you want 30-0 a third time? We mad? Instead of building a psychiatric hospital up there in the Bell, I am saying turn it, not psychiatric, geriatric hospital. They might want to turn it into another mental institution. Because it seems as though my people are crazy. This is consternation for me if it isn't for you out there. Matters arising because all that happened within the DLP showed the uprising. I'm not talking now about external matters. Internal matters. They say tongue and teeth were got words. Let tongue and teeth bite at one another. Let them deal with that. I am not on the internal matter paradigm. I am hearing those outside who care diddly squat about the DLP and who by extension care diddly squat about their nation and their sovereignty and their existence and their future in this country, asking for another 30-0. So not only are they asking for the death of the DLP, they're asking for a 30-0. My consternation also is that of elder abuse. But before I get to that, I ask a question, what it is about Mr. Thorne that, another consternation that I did not know that my people were so spiteful, that they were embodied in hatred. That hurts. That they were cruel, and that it seems as though they were waiting for the opportunity to have a martyr to spew all of this hatred and this spite onto. What it is about Mr. Thorne that engenders this hatred and this spite. I'm saying this. This bothers me. And it not only is towards Mr. Thorne. Is this, help me with the word, does this represent the spite and the hatred that we carry within ourselves? I may be carrying it within ourselves, and that we wait for the opportune time to expel it, to extrovert it on others, if that's a phrase. I want to know, what does he pose a threat to them? Does he pose a threat? Does he represent a threat? What it is about someone who would choose to do what he has done, and I am not talking about the DLP, to choose, like Bishop Joe Adderley in times past, but Bishop Joe Adderley did not get the outpouring of spite and hatred and mean remarks as the Honorable Leader of Opposition, Ralph Thorne. What it is about this gentleman. And the next thing and the final thing, Marcia, is that of elder abuse. My consternation, my concern. My hair is gray. I ride on government vehicles and tap with my ID card. Every so often, my husband and I all would have heard, we go riding around the island on the buses. Some break down, the majority come late, but we enjoy ourselves and the drivers are most pleasant. But what I have seen in recent times, these last events, this last week, elder abuse, and this is not contained within no households. This is not what we have been hearing from the minister responsible for the elderly, Kirk Humphrey, talking about elder abuse and the proposals that are being put before the law house to examine matters pertaining to the elderly. I caption it as elder abuse because of the denigrating comments and tones directed towards the seniors in the DLP. I'm not talking about what would Bobby Morris would have experienced, and you would have seen on social media, etc. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about, again, persons who obviously are not supporters of the DLP, have been directing some denigrating comments towards the seniors in the DLP. And I asked the question, like they could go home and the most raw way they could go and carry the old, expletive home. Is that how we treat the elderly in our country, in the institutions outside of the home? That bothers me. Aren't there elders in the BLP? And would they speak of the elders in the BLP in that manner? Is it because the elders have a dame in front of their name? Is it to have a sir or honorable in front of their name, so you accord them respect, or you are so home, you are so politically myopic that contain, I don't know what to say, that you don't dare mouth these taunts and denigrating and disrespectful comments towards the elders in the government and within that party. We can clearly call persons, and we have seen them come out to head in recent times, Marcia, commissions. They've come out to head commissions. The degree, but they have wisdom. They treat these persons' wisdom and intellect as sacred, but they're so denigrating and disrespectful towards the elders in the DLP, and by extension, by those of us out here who would choose to speak up on matters that affect our country. These are, for me, some of the matters arising that caused me consternation and concern as I witnessed, as I observed, as I listened to the events that occurred recently. And I am wondering, Marcia, what is going on in my people's
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Rose, I thank you for this very passionate presentation tonight. And my heart warmed to hear a Barbadian, saying these things and expressing yourself in such a way. And I know that you were a candidate for Solutions Barbados. So it's not that you are a DLP member, but it is just, it doesn't make any sense, as you said, what people are crying for, a death of an organization, because they might be upset with it. It's not doing what they want it to do, or they don't have the leader that they want to lead it. I think, then they're going to say, well, because it doesn't have the leader that I want to lead it, then it should die. And so it's very interesting hearing your comments. And I know that you're not a member of the DLP. And what I do is that when you begin to speak like this on behalf of Barbados, you're speaking on behalf of Barbados. Once you begin to do that, what happens is that people begin to label you. And that's what happened. And they begin to drag you in social media. That's what happened. But Rose, you talk about elder abuse. On Monday morning, I was here at home trying to get a little rest, and the phone rang. And it was someone, a lady on the phone, and I heard it was an elderly voice. And I was thinking, oh goodness, I really want to sleep. I was between sleep and awake, but I took the call because it was from a landline. And I said, you know what, this person probably really needs to speak to me. I took the call, and it was an 80-year-old woman on the call, Rose. And I sat up in bed when I realized that she was an 81-year-old woman. Right? Somebody said I should say 81 years young. And I know there's a lot of chatter in the chat, in the comment section. But if you could just listen to this story a little bit, guys, and we don't need to quarrel with each other. and the constant bickering and so on. I really am not into all of that. But Rose, she said to me, Mrs. Weeks, I want to thank you so much for going to for broadcasting Sunday from George Street for me. I said, really? She said, ma'am, I was there on Saturday. Listen carefully, Rose. She's 81 and she was there with another lady. She didn't say the age of that person, but it's her friend. So I figure they're about the same age. And she said that she was so scared on Saturday with the commotion that occurred at George Street. She was so fearful. And she called her relatives to come and get her. And she said, this 81-year-old woman, she said, Marcia, I was scared. And then Sunday, I was sad because this is something that I've done since they've had the annual conference. I would go Saturday and I would go Sunday. But this time around, I couldn't go Sunday because I was scared to go on Sunday. She's 81 years old and she called to say thank you. And she didn't just say thank you. She started to cry. And she said to me, Marcia, I am so glad that what you did. I want to send you. I'm getting my pension check, she said. I hope I don't start crying now. And she says, I want to send you something to help your program. I told her, no way. I said, I want to make sure that you make sure you have groceries, you have enough to eat. Because a lot of pensioners, Rose, they don't have, they can't take care of themselves, right? And I said to her, I don't want your money. She said to me, Mrs. Weeks, I have to do it. God will provide for me because you help me. She says, I do this every single year. And this year I wasn't able to do it because of the behavior of some of those people that came into that place on Sunday. And this is our story. You could curse me all you want. You could say all you want to say. There was an 81-year-old woman and her friend and many others who were so scared. They did not want to go back on the Sunday. I just wanted to, as you were talking about elder abuse, I wanted to talk about that. That is very sad.
Yeah. And there are persons, Marcia, who want to make a contribution.
Yes.
There are persons who have made significant contribution to this country and want to continue.
Yes.
And want to continue. That is why when you make an appeal, you will find that many of the persons who respond are retired persons, pensioners. We get calls like, how can we help? I'm talking from my end. How can we help? What can we do? And they're usually persons who they really need to look at that basket for that we talked about last week or whatever. But the thing that concerns me, I don't know if because persons can look into the lower house and they can see all these young people who are their MPs, who some of them have not even the foggiest idea about the conduct of Parliament. When I say conduct now, I talk about how they've not done any studies, some of them, I'm not saying all, but some of them probably have not gone through proper training or exposure to how to carry on business in the lower house. If we listen to some of the debates, you could tell that some of them don't even read the bills. They don't even read the proposals. They just would get up and give a narrative about this party and my government and this government, and there is no substance to their contribution. But they represent a certain group out there, and the group out there, it's not only the young, Marcia, because the youth are becoming disenfranchised, disappointed, disgusted. If I go for all the alliteration, they too are not, or they too are distancing themselves from the narrative that they're used to utter.
Yes.
But there is a crowd that is so blinded that they cannot see.
Yeah. Let me just address this person here, because this is part of what you are talking about. This person, that is not true. That's propaganda. What you put there is not true. The 81-year-old lady, the elderly woman, was scared. She was scared. She was scared because of the behavior of the people inside there. She was scared for her life. What you wrote there, you heard the story, but this is part of the thing. Rose, we're not listening. I made sure, I wanted to sleep, but I stood up. I sat up in my bed to listen to her. And that's what Rose is talking about. The elderly, they speak to us and we don't listen. First of all, we don't have time for them. So this person here, I'm going to address this because that is not true. That's not what she was afraid about. She was really afraid. And what this comment about this 81-year-old woman, because she also watches the show every night, that's very insensitive. And this is what Rose is speaking of. This is what Rose is speaking of. And so I'm going to delete that comment because that's not nice. I took it very seriously. She was crying, and that's what she was afraid of. And so I'm to say that she wasn't scared. I'm removing those comments, and if you continue, I'm going to remove you from the chat. Okay?
Marcia.
Yes. Yes, go right ahead.
May I share something, Marcia? I did not want to bring it in this forum.
Yes.
But I'll share something. Since that comment came up, remember, I attended the service on Sunday.
Yes.
I was told in a message after inquiring, I was told the service began at 8. I got there about 10 past 8, worried that I would have to walk in late and that the auditorium would be packed. I got there at 10 past 8. When I arrived, the streets were empty. The avenues were empty, and George Street was empty. Scarcely a car was passing. I went to the gate. My husband dropped me and went into the avenue across to wait to see me, get in. And I told him, wait, I ain't seeing anybody. Security told me the service was at 9. And I asked, would I be letting now? along came a lady who I recognized and who later told me that she was Mrs. Dujon. And she said, join her. We went in. There were about if a dozen person in the yard before the yard, and I went into the auditorium, and I was one of about 4 to 6 persons in the auditorium. The service did not start at 9. It did not start at 9. It started about 20 to 10. So I'm in there all the time. And as I said, it was one of the most, I can't describe it, services that I have attended in a while. I was glad to be there. When soon the auditorium filled up as you saw, but not to capacity. And I came out. I was getting a ride home with a DLP active member who is on the executive now, who was voted onto the executive. When we came out, I had the shock of my life. I would tell you, it took a lot from me I felt my body just closed in a fetal way to protect myself. Because remember, when I went in, all was quiet and calm and serene. No indication that there would be the activity which went out to the public. Unfortunately, I did not expect it. So when I came out and I met it, I froze because I said, I've just come from church and I'm now going to come into this melee, this shouting, this fracas, it shocked me. I am with this distinguished gentleman. I say distinguished because he is a genteel gentleman. He is not an elder. And he came out and that's who he is. And he greeted people. Some responded. Others turned their backs away. And others shouted their remarks. You would not believe that up to however previously, they were all family. They were all part of an institution called the DLP. They were satisfying and meeting from each other. That part of Maslow's
Hierarchy of
hierarchy
needs.
of needs, the need to belong. They were all through a body called the DLP, clustering together. And now, because of this person being part of the inside,
Yes.
they chose, I told you, I froze. And he took it without any response. He just continued, hello, how are you? Hello. But he was brave. So much so, I told I hesitated. I wanted to come back after I heard that it was open to the public in the evening. And I said, I ain't going back. I don't want to. I don't want to go and get insulted. I ain't going back. My
You
system,
see?
my psyche can't handle that. I can't expose myself to that. And then I said, be a grown up, be an adult. You can go. But Marcia, I must confess, I was glad when the rain came down in torrents. I was glad because I said to myself, when I return with all that heavy rain, they may have dispersed.
So you yourself were scared to pass through the gate.
Yeah.
Are we listening? Listen to what Rose is saying. She Rose Corbin was scared to pass those people when she was coming back in for the at the 3 o'clock or the 4 o'clock to hear Mr. Thorne. And so it's so funny. People are saying why people were locked out. It's because of their that kind of bad behavior. And you can say all that you want to say. Bad behavior, nasty behavior is what it is. And we saw, as you said, with Bobby Morris, and we saw Rose would have heard it. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't see when I got there after 7. There was nobody there. So I went in and set up. But really, that kind of behavior. How do you don't reward people behavior like that? And even if it's church, and if that kind of behavior is happening, then you put people outside. If they're misbehaving, they go on the outside. So I see nothing wrong with what they did, and it wasn't everybody. There were about 10 of them. And what they did, Rose, I saw that with my 2 eyes, and I look at some of the pictures and I laugh at them. I laugh at some of the pictures because of some of these people, Rose, they were sitting down inside. Some of them were in the service. It's so funny. There was one lady sitting in the service, and then when I look, I saw a picture with her outside at the gate. We were laughing because I'm like, lady, come on. You went out to get the picture taken. Then they're saying they didn't let in the senator and all that. No, the senator in, and her and I shook hands, etc. Right? Yeah.
Yes.
So come on. Right?
It was,
So,
it was, I am not saying, Marcia, that the persons who were outside, if we're talking about freedom of expression, freedom to protest, that's all right. That's all right. We do it when we march. I am not saying that they shouldn't, but what disturbed me, Marcia, was the disturbance and the unnecessary taunting
yes.
and throwing of remarks at one of your very own who sought to not necessarily engage you, but acknowledge you with respect and with decorum, which he thought you deserved and should receive and should be extended to you. So I didn't want to bring it into this domain.
Mm-hmm.
Those with whom I would have shared it, I shared, and it was not disparagingly, but it was just a matter of concern of the shock it was to me, getting it blowing in my direction as a third party.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting back to what the senior said, the older person,
Yes.
sorry,
81-year-old.
older person said, I could understand the fear and the anxiety that having heard or seen through the media what happened before, the, the, that could have informed their decision to stay away probably the first time in so many years after being a regular attendant. So we need to bring balance to it, and be more understanding in terms of how we respond to 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 people's insecurities or inadequacies,
Yes,
as in the
yes.
case shared with you.
Yeah, I agree with you. And just let me just say to the viewers that I have been, I announced that Caswell Franklin would have been here. And so I need to say I haven't seen him, so that you know he's due to be on Sundays and on Fridays. Okay. Because a lot of you ask when he's not here, where is he? Well, he's due to be on Sundays and Fridays. Okay. All right. Wonderful. Now, um, just to say, that it's very unfortunate what happened. And Rose, when you hear people like this 81-year-old woman, she, I'm sure, would have seen some of the threats that were put out about bodies, that bodies, they would not be able to count the bodies that would be there at George Street. If certain things happen, if people were, they didn't get what they wanted, and all these kinds of threats that was what were put out, and they talk about bloodshed, and they talk about all these different things. You could imagine why that little 81-year-old woman would be scared and wondering what is going to happen. You would have heard Miss McLean read what was put out in a chat and counting down the days of a particular event to say how many days, and so on. That is some serious, that's very threatening, and so when those kinds of things go out into the public, it's no wonder there are people who did not want to come down there. There was someone who I was supposed to interview, and they were so scared they didn't want to come. And it's real for people. So I for one, I was happy that the people that were disruptive were not allowed in. But as I said, there were some who came that Saturday, and they were allowed in. It's only about 10 that were not officially on the list that was given to the police that were not allowed in. And they, the ones that were in, they went out and staged. It was staged for the propaganda, right? The same way they staged our propaganda to say people are that they have been reinstated. It was all a staged thing, and that's what was happening. So it is unfortunate, and that the whole thing is playing out. What was good today, though, is to see I don't know how many persons were able to see the press conference. Anybody saw the press conference?
In part.
You saw it in part.
Yeah.
But what I was glad about was that, there's so many things that occurred. But Mr. Thorne, he refused to. Mr. Thorne refused to list out, as he says, to degrade anyone, and I thought that was very noble of him, right? Yeah, I like what Neonsa said. Membership is not a ticket for disruptive behavior, because you're a member. Anybody would know that. Because you're a member, it doesn't mean that because you're a member that people are going to put up with with the behavior that you're spewing out. So yeah, But I thought that let me get Judith Ann. I want people to to come in and to talk about what they, their views um, on the press conference today. Today we had a press conference 236-7000. 236-7000. Please feel free to come in and to to share your views on the press conference today. Mm-hmm. Yes. Some people said they saw it and it was great. Is there anything that you saw there, or you wish that it was done differently, etc.? Um, yeah. Kamar says we appreciate the passion and all gloves off at the press conference today. You cannot deal with me, Amadli, with grace and goodwill. Well, for sure, Mr. Thorne, while he did not take the gloves off for Aunt Trisha, Trisha Watson, because there are things that he could say, I can tell you that, but he didn't. The gloves off were on, the administration and just some of the media, etc. Yeah. Anybody, please call in. You can start calling in 246-236-7000. Let me find the number to put up for you to call in. Yeah. While you're calling in, we're gonna just play. We're gonna play a little bit of the press conference. Go ahead, Dave.
Contribution that Dame Maisie made to this country, and we just ask that the Lord should take her on a good journey and preserve her in eternity. Now, the other business today, as I said, is to introduce our newest senator, Andre Worrell. Andre sits to my right, and Andre is as Barbadian as any of us ever will be. He is from St. John, born in Sherborne in St. John. He had the finest in Barbadian education. He was educated at Hockaso Primary. He tells me that from there he went to the Lodge School. He was in the cadets, and he was head boy. So that Andre is well used to leadership. He was a member, having left Lodge School. He became a member of the Optimist Club. Here's a man again following in the example of Dame Maisie, rooting himself in community participation and community activity. Church-wise, again, rooted in that sung Barbadian tradition. He was a member at the Mount Tabor Moravian, and he also spent some time, as Barbadians do, they migrate between the churches for one reason or another, and he went to Sherborne New Testament. But at Sherborne New Testament, he became the youth president. He has been a president of the Young Dems, and this is a return to the Senate. We've gone for somebody who is not new to the Senate. He is returning to the Senate. He served from 2010 to 2018. That's 8 years of experience in the Senate. So he's not new to that august body. So we want to welcome you, Andre, back to the Senate. The party is very confident that together with Senator Ryan, you will do an excellent job. I want to tell the public that already there's a very, very healthy dynamic between these two young men. In fact, Ryan said to Andre and to me a few days ago, he reminded Andre that Andre was one of the persons who brought him into the Democratic Labour Party. So I know that there's going to be a very healthy group dynamic, certainly among the parliamentarians, the three of us, and the spokespersons, many of whom are with us here this morning. I want to say to the public, give the public the assurance that when those spokespersons met on Thursday, I think it was for the first time, I mean, we left here feeling as if we were related to each other. There is, Barbadians, a very healthy dynamic between the members of this new group of parliamentarians and spokespersons and advisors. The advisors are represented here this morning by Ms. Maxine McLean, another outstanding Barbadian who has made a mark in this country, and we are apologetic about the leadership of Maxine in terms of giving guidance to this group of spokespersons. Maxine, I always thank you, and I will never cease to thank you for the outstanding work that you are doing for this body. Now, I know the media has a very strong appetite and a craving for the salacious. That will not, I may disappoint you this morning. I know that you have come here to hear about the departure of Senator Watson. I know you're interested in that. I myself, when I first came to this office, I said at State House that I like to be guided by the injunction of Proverbs 3:5, and that I always trust in the Lord with all my heart, that I lean not unto my own understanding, that in all my ways I acknowledge him, and that I trust God to direct my paths. And I want you to know that in this matter, I have not forgotten the injunction of Proverbs 3:5. I don't know how other individuals hear the voice of God, but certainly I hear it through close friends. And whatever had been my inclination in dealing with this issue, I want to confess to you that some very good friends and colleagues of mine became the voice of God in advising me as to how this matter should be approached. I want to give the media the assurance, I want to give Barbadians the assurance, I want to give my colleagues the assurance that our purpose here this morning is not to assassinate the character of anyone, and certainly not Ms. Watson. We are not in the business of disparaging people's reputations. I will simply say this, that
pause the video right there.
earlier this
Pause
year,
the video. We're
I
gonna pause.
telephoned
We're
Ms.
gonna go
Watson.
through this. Pause the video. I see you shaking your head there, Rose, when he said that. Right? Why did you shake your head there?
The fact that I have witnessed, and I can only compare, Marcia.
Yes.
I can only compare what I've seen. I have listened to in their entirety Paris Speaks.
Mm-hmm.
And even matters in the lower house. And I have seen, let's talk about the house, the lower house. And I've seen how MPs, not backbenchers, but I've seen how MPs, and I've seen how the Deputy Prime Minister, and I've seen how the Prime Minister, how they views the floor and their privileges to hurl insults and make disparaging remarks. Across the divide, sometimes I wonder, especially in the early days, how the leader of opposition was able to handle it with such decorum and, calmness. But then again, it's his training, and I believe having to his training. And I was pleased when I know the public and I know the media, they were waiting for sensational bits of information, because there are speculations, and I believe that's what our media houses or journalists, they're not investigative, and if they do investigate, it leans more towards what sounds sexy and what can be spread more widely and rapidly and create more confusion than there is. So I don't even I have seen some things that bothered me. You know, where in the esteemed lower house, especially in the last couple of months, they have reached to that level that here the leader of the opposition, not in parliament, not in parliament as a representative, but in a setting speaking to the media and to the wider public, has chosen not to sink to that level. He could have used that opportunity to do so. And that's why I shook my head in agreement.
Yes.
And he doesn't, and he did it so instructively. Instructively, yet assertively, to say, this is not what I am about. And I think these should be ticks that we can assign to him as a leader, leading by example, showing how it is done, how it should be done, and how it should not be done. That is why I was shaking my head, Marcia. I could draw examples of things that caused me to sit up and say, are you bringing this into the esteemed House of Parliament to make a mockery or to make what we call mock sport? But he has used his chair and position well at this in this setting here. That's why I'm pleased.
Well, yes. I think when I heard that, because honestly, I mean, I would have used it, especially when you see you hear what's happening on social media. Most people would go into a setting like that to defend themselves and to defend their decision. And for me, I learned a lot from that. And I know that there are people who say, well, he should have told her. I have gotten rid of all of my board at some point, different times at Praise Academy, and I've done it in different ways depending on the situation and the people I'm dealing with. So and sometimes it don't matter what you do, people are going to say you should have done it that way or done it that way. That's the way he chose to do it. You might not have chosen that way, but I've gotten rid of my board before, and teachers and so on. It depends. It depends on who you're dealing with, what the situation is, right? It depends. And he's not saying everything, but I think it depends. So I'm not one way or the other to say he should have called her ahead of time or written to her ahead of time. As somebody who's in charge or in an organization, I say it depends on the situation, who you're dealing with, the situation surrounding what is happening, right? It all depends. Okay. And you know, when I heard the other thing that happened that I want to talk about, oh, Kamar said something here. This is very interesting. Mr. Rob Thorne has signaled that the orchestrated confusion in his party's is in his party's rear view mirror. I believe him. Full steam ahead with the business and the burning issues of importance and urgency. I'm telling you, they are having a ball tonight. They're up at Wall Street, up at George Street Auditorium, celebrating a volunteer's birthday. With these are the things that should be happening. They're celebrating somebody's birthday, and they are celebrating the appointment of Andre Worrell, Senator Andre Worrell. And you know, Rose, I tell you, when and viewers, when I heard that it was Andre, I said, Andre, who's Andre again? I said, oh, that's the DLP. He is the he is the acting president. And what I remember, I met him really for the first time. He came on the show once, but I really met him when I went there as part of, you know, with all the other journalists that went there on Sunday. When I went there, I met him as very well-mannered, soft-spoken, really easygoing. Even some of the persons who were angry inside, they were talking to him, and he never raised his voice. He was so calm, you know. And so I said, "Who is this guy, Andre Warren?" When I heard that he was a person that was chosen to be the senator. And when I read his bio, I was really, you know, I was really impressed that he graduated with degrees in psychology. You know, that he was in the Senate twice before. So I mean, truthfully, this man is going into the Senate with more senatorial experience, right, than Ryan Walters would have had, or Trisha Watson. That's the reality of the situation, you know. And what I like about this pick from Mr. Thorne is that it really cements the leadership structure within the party at the moment. And as somebody said, it's a signaling that, listen, we're moving ahead and we're together. This is the acting president, who is now a senator, joining Ryan Walters. They now form the parliamentary group, right? And they are now able to work together. So I see this as a signaling, a strong signaling that they're ready to move, and they're ready, you know, they're ready to go. You know, they're moving on. And I want to just show just a little bit of let's see, of this.
On that one, Marcia, may come in quickly.
Just before you come in, quickly, the quick comment.
Yes, someone sent me a message saying that of the new senator, and my response, well, he can hit the road running. He does not need to have an orientation. He does not need to have a brief in terms of what goes on there. He's been there, done that, hit the road running. That's what we need. What is needed at this time?
What is needed at this? It's not somebody who is going to go in, as you would have heard. Ryan talked about how green he was in his interview with me. I'm not making it up. And Senator Trisha Watson had no experience in the Senate. Now she went in and she did a brilliant job, and we have to give that to Senator Watson. What we saw on the outside is that she did a great job, you know, in representing the people in the Senate. And I say it on here all the time, and I'm not going to sit on here and tell a lie about that. You know, but obviously there were some other issues going on. And one thing somebody said to me when they heard that Andre Worrell was the one chosen, he said, the person said, you can train skill, but you can't train character. You can train somebody to be skillful, but you can't train anybody in character. You have to have it. So he's going in with you. If he didn't even have the skill, you can train him in skill. Yeah. He comes with a lot of experience. We don't understand, but let's listen to him a little bit here. Let's listen to him. Those of you who didn't get a chance.
Members of the media here assembled, and to those of you viewing on our social media pages. First, I would like to thank the Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Ralph Thorne, for this opportunity to serve the people of Barbados in the Senate for a second period. As he said, I was first appointed to the Senate in 2010 by the late Prime Minister David Thompson, and then again in 2013 by Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Frandil Stewart. So it is an honor for me to join this noble cause of the opposition leader, Ralph Thorne, in terms of speaking out for the people of Barbados. That is my intention. And that has always been my passion, to articulate the issues for the young persons, for small business, for people who are not getting what they should be getting from our social state. We want to see ourselves as a developed nation, but yet so many Barbadians have to run to a politician if they want to get something in Barbados. I never accepted that. I never saw that as being right. And these are things that I do not appreciate. I am the spokesperson for health, and that is something that I will take up passionately, because I have seen and I've heard the many complaints of people in Barbados who are concerned about healthcare delivery in Barbados at present. The QEH is almost a nightmare for you to go to. Many people fear having to spend a night or weekend in the Queen Elizabeth Hospital waiting for treatment. And many persons die waiting for treatment before they're actually seen. So these are concerns that need to be addressed. These are things that the public of Barbados need to hear persons speaking about. You have nurses who have been trained in Barbados who have not yet had an opportunity to work in Barbados as nurses because of an exam which other nurses come to Barbados and they're not required to take. But our nurses have the training from the Barbados Community College, and we have a shortage of nurses in Barbados. Why not give these people an opportunity to practice what they learned at the Barbados Community College and assist in the shortage in the healthcare sector? We have a situation in the healthcare sector where every single department is understaffed. Doctors are leaving, nurses are leaving. These are people that we invested millions of dollars in terms of training. And they're not leaving simply because of better passes, but they're frustrated at the management style within the hospital setting. They're frustrated with the problems that they're facing. At this time, I would also want to extend condolences to the family of the psychiatric patient who lost his life tragically on Tuesday night or Monday night, I believe it was, or Sunday. Now, that is something that is concerning to us, because the psychiatric hospital should have protocols in place to prevent things like that happening. We know that he was a patient on the A ward, and it was alleged it was as a result of an altercation with another patient on the A ward. Those of you who know the A ward, that is the ward that you would place the most serious psychiatric patients who need constant supervision. I do not want to go into details now, but that is the story that we need to follow up on. And I'm happy that the director of the hospital, David Leacock, has issued a statement that they will bring additional information. We understand and appreciate now that it's a police investigation, but we oftentimes spend a lot of attention focusing on what is happening at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, because that is where the majority of Barbadians interact. But the psychiatric hospital is on the back burner, and that needs our attention as well. And I intend to hold the Minister of Health his feet to the fire and insist that they bring information to the public of Barbados. What is the true story at the psychiatric hospital? Are there any manpower challenges at the psychiatric hospital? And let us know. And I'm hoping Well, they did say that the family of the psychiatric patient who lost his life, that they will be provided with support and counseling. That is very important. And also too, for the staff and persons who may have witnessed or be involved in that they be provided with the necessary support and counseling. I also want to raise attention to another matter in healthcare which fell under the radar. A couple weeks ago, by the what I would call a covert whistleblower, alerted Barbadians to the fact that there was a case of monkeypox in Barbados. It was done under the disguise of a statement which was issued in 2022. It was put out there without a date. And I think that this was the actions of a whistleblower in Barbados who knew that there was a case of monkeypox in Barbados, but recognized that the government of Barbados had not alerted the public and put out that statement. Then, in order to save face, the ministry then issued a statement where, through the back door, they allowed us to know that there was a recent case 6 weeks ago, which would have been around the crop over period and possibly the World Cup period. That would have been mid-July. And then there was another case in Barbados in January 2024. Now, these are things that we should not take lightly. The World Health Organization issued a list of standards for the best practices in dealing with monkeypox. You would have heard over the last couple of weeks that there was intensified communication with regard to monkeypox because of the outbreak in parts of Africa, and they said it was becoming a global concern. There actually a protocol which was put in place from August 2023, and it was supposed to have expired on the 20th of August 2024, but it was extended to the 20th of August 2025. Monkeypox is a notifiable disease. So, yes, notification does not mean that they have to tell us, the public, but there are certain protocols that the Ministry of Education must follow in terms of the Ministry of Health must follow in terms of giving notice that we did have a case of monkeypox. It is also in these protocols, there are protocols for communication with the public as well, because you want to reduce the stigma of monkeypox, and you also want to make the public aware, because many of us do not know what to look for in a case of monkeypox, and that is why you would have heard the media campaign after. But why I think that the Ministry of Health needs to rebuild its level of trust with the people of Barbados, and we should not be finding out of situations like this via a backdoor, via a covert whistleblower, putting out information to the public after the fact. The ministry needs to take control of this information because, one, they need to lead the process. They need to establish trust in the people of Barbados. They also need to put out the information in such a way that it would not cause unnecessary fear, panic, and anxiety. And I join with the president of the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners, who came after and said to Barbadians, there's no need to panic as a result of that. Yes, there's no need to panic right now because there were only 2 cases over a 6-month period, and the country has the protocols in place to identify, to do the necessary screening and the alerts. But you need to bring the public of Barbados into your confidence and let them know the information that they ought to know to safeguard themselves, so that we can too intensify our level of vigilance. I'm thankful for the ad that is there now, which highlights for Barbadians the symptoms that they can look out for in cases of monkeypox. But there are other health concerns out there as well. There's dengue outbreaks in other parts of the region. There is also the Arapuchi virus, there are cases in Cuba. And there is a possibility that some cases can travel to Trinidad and other parts of the Caribbean, possibly Barbados as well. We need to take healthcare and the putting out of information, and the Ministry of Health is responsible for that and doing it in a very, in a way so as not to scare persons, but to put factual information out there. And I'm just asking the Minister of Health to give a full account of what is happening in Barbados. Have we followed the standards by the World Health Organization in terms of dealing with monkeypox and the mpox and the dissemination of information? Have we followed that information? Have we followed all of the protocols? And it is high time. The Minister of Health, I will remind Barbadians who he is. Senator Jerome Walker. He's been the Minister of Health for a number of years. When Dr. Brown was there, she was more vocal in the Ministry of Health. Currently, Ishmael, who has been sent there to replace Dr. Brown, not necessarily with the amount of advocacy as Dr. Brown. But we need to hear from the Minister of Health in Barbados. There are far too many health concerns in Barbados, and it's worrying people. You have a situation where people spend an entire day at a polyclinic to get medication. We need to do better for Barbadians. You have a situation where Barbadians spend 3 nights sitting in accident and emergency just waiting to see a doctor. And you have, I hate to hear the communication specialists at the QE8 saying to people of Barbados, we are under constraints. Do not come to QEH for help, for your health care. If you have a heart attack, what are you supposed to do? You're not giving them alternatives, because majority of the time, the fast track at the Sir Winston Scott is not operating the way how it ought to. The majority of times when Barbadians listen to him and they go to other healthcare facilities such as urgent care, and the doctor at urgent care says to them, well, your situation is grave and you need to go to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, nothing is done to those persons. The QEH needs to put in place a policy so that if you're telling people to seek alternative medical attention, they're doing that. And then the alternative medical attention sends them back to the QEH, because the only way that they can be treated is through the QEH. And then they have to sit out there in a queue just like any ordinary person and wait 3 days to be seen. And I know of situations where those doctors at places like FMH and urgent care would call ahead to the QEH and alert them of the situation. And you have the doctors in the various specialties who are waiting for those persons, but they cannot do anything until they're admitted by the accident and emergency department. The QEH needs to do better. And you cannot simply tell patients, do not come there for healthcare treatment. It is there to give healthcare treatment to the people of Barbados. So simply telling them, do not come because you're a burden, is not dealing with the healthcare situation in Barbados. And we need to hear the Minister of Health, Senator Dr. Jerome Walker, come and speak to the people of Barbados about this. Come and explain to the people of Barbados, take them into your confidence. Let them know what are the challenges you're facing. Is it manpower challenges? Is it the fact that you are not getting the financial resources that you need because you recognize that the government is now paying over $700 million in interest and loan payments? So has that cut you off of the money that you need to run the hospital? Because it probably has, because you have persons who are being told, pregnant women, to go elsewhere to pay for ultrasound. These are things that should not be happening in a modern day Barbados, when you have a prime minister flying all over the world trying to give people the impression that all is well in Barbados and we will here sucking salt. Well said. We need better from the persons who have been placed there to govern. They have said that they will govern by transparency and openness, and we're not getting that with them. So we need to have better. And I, as the spokesperson for health, will agitate and advocate for that. And as a senator, whichever legislation comes up in the Senate, I will join with Senator Ryan Walters, and I will advocate for that, and also give my full support to the opposition leader and the political leader of the Democratic Labour Party, Ralph Thorne, as we go out there and we connect with the people of Barbados. We hear your concerns and we are ready to represent your concern. We are ready to give you a voice in the higher place, and we are asking the media of Barbados to highlight those pertinent issues, those issues that are the bread and butter issues of the people of Barbados, that have people worrying. They've been waiting for 3 years for a call back from the hospital for an operation. They've wasted an entire day. You have to wait months in order to see a physiotherapist, those kind of things. Those are the bread and butter issues that worry and concern the people of Barbados, and that is what we need to focus our attention on. And I intend to use this opportunity in the Senate to address those issues. So, Minister of Health, Senator Jerome Walker, there are questions out there for you to answer. Find the time to do the job for the people of Barbados. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. So pause it there. They're well said. Now, I'm telling you, I said, this is when you hear him, Rose. I said to Dave this evening when we were coming home, can you imagine? There are people who believe that we don't need. I hear Barbadians say you don't need an opposition. You need an opposition. You need somebody who over health that's asking these hard questions, because you know what it is? I have a friend, there's a friend of mine, Rose, and I was looking for the article who, did you hear him make mention of the person, the young man who died, who was killed at the psychiatric hospital? I know we are friends of, some people who are connected to that young man. And to hear that there was someone advocating on this person's behalf, he's dead and gone. But here it is, this gentleman here is advocating, is saying that, listen, people, something happened last weekend at the psychiatric hospital that should not have happened. And I spoke with him afterwards, and he said, Marcia, the psychiatric hospital is overcrowded. And that particular ward, they put the most, the men or the people there who are the most ill. Let me put it that way, okay? Mentally, needing a lot of mental care, Rose. And so they would be a little more erratic, possibly. So that's the ward. And I'm trying to find my notes here, and I'm not finding my notes, but I wrote down some stuff that he told me today. It's a particular ward. If anybody knows what that ward is, please put the ward letter down for me. It could have been ward D or E. And he said that there are only two nurses that are there. And he said the standard is that you have one nurse per, I believe he said five patients. But I had heard from that family as well that the ward is overcrowded. They don't have enough people, enough supervision on the ward. There's not enough supervision on the ward. Hence, this could have happened, and they only found the person long after it happened. There's no supervision. And here it is. Do you think that if we were even seeing the Minister of Health, do you think that they would come out? Be honest, all of us on, almost 900 of us on tonight. Do you think that they would come out to ask for an investigation, Rose, on behalf of that family? They would not. If there is no opposition, all that happens, and we know what happens, they cover that up. It's covered up because they don't want to look bad. But here
Marcia,
it is. Yes,
we
go ahead,
would have
Rose.
had to take to the streets in the absence of this that we heard, that we are hearing. We, the Marcia Week Show, would have had to take it up on this show and or take it to the streets. But now, with a working organism called the opposition in place, there is a greater voice to lend to our voice on these issues. And I smile, Marcia, because I notice a question here. Where is the health minister? Has anyone seen him lately? That was on the screen. That was in the chat.
Yeah.
And I quickly wrote it down. And I facetiously and yet seriously said to myself, but there he is. You are asking, where is the health minister? Has anyone seen him lately? Well, I've just seen him. I've just seen him.
Just seen him.
I have just seen him, Marcia.
And
I have just seen him articulating so easily, so comfortably the issues, no referring to paper or to script, no hesitation, but it seems as though he was waiting for an opportunity just to identify, itemize, explain, call out, respond to, ask questions, and answer them himself. And we have not had that kind of engagement from the Minister of Health. And I must say too, that the last time I heard any public engagement really on health was when Dr. Sonia Moore was the Minister of State. Brown, I'm sorry. Dr. Sonia Brown was the minister, the junior minister or minister of state
Minister in the Ministry of Health.
We have heard nothing. So thank you, Minister of Health, Senator Andre Worrell. Thank you. At least we do know that beyond Caswell, because Caswell was the one who kept on tippy toes, kept us informed with what's happening at the hospital. Now we have someone who has indicated he will keep his eyes on these happenings and others. And I am glad also, Marcia, how he brought in, because we tend to segment health, and therefore our eyes are fixed on QEH, our eyes are fixed on accident and emergency, because yes, it's the primary health care facility in Barbados. Our eyes are fixed on the lack of goods and services in radiology and those places at the QEH. But I am glad to see that the senator also brought in the psychiatric hospital as a health facility.
Yes, I noticed that
this is the first time actually that I have heard the psychiatric hospital being given that kind of attention. So I am pleased at from the outset, he hasn't even gone into the Senate, and at a press conference, he could command attention. He could command the information given, and not in an emotional, histrionic manner, but so calmly and so effectively and substantiated. I say kudos to
He did
him
some
at his
research.
first outcome.
He did some research. He's talking about even the protocol, asking Barbados, are we following the protocol for informing the public concerning the mpox? So even with that, I mean, and talking about the diseases that are on the horizon that are coming up. And sometimes it's good to feel like the underdog. Sometimes it's good when people, they should put him aside and say, "Oh, he's nothing," compared to Senator Watson and whatever. Senator Watson was good at what she does, at what she did in the Senate, and that's fine. Don't take that away from her. But here is this young man. As he said, he's only 45 years old, and I love the fact that he's that young. And he can only grow, and I think this is wonderful. And I saw the camaraderie between himself and Ryan, Senator Ryan Walters today, and I think we have a strong team. I really, really think so, and I'm looking forward for great things for this young man. Very strong.
And actually, I learned a lot from him in this short time. He was so informative. He educated us on monkeypox, on all those different things, and simplified it in a way that we all could understand. I'm impressed. And may I take this time before we move on to say that I want to express thanks also to Senator Watson.
Yes.
On Sunday, I saw her briefly moving swiftly in and out the premises. I wanted to use the opportunity to personally thank her. I thank her. I admired her before being elevated to the Senate. And I want to say thank you very much, Senator Miss Watson,
Trisha Watson,
for your service to Barbados before coming into the Senate, in the Senate, and I believe it will continue. Thank you so much. Thanks,
Thank you. And it's great that you said. I've always, in terms of her work in the Senate, I've always praised her work in the Senate because I, that's just me. I'm not going to tell any lies. And I also, you would hear, because I'm going to tell the truth too. I did say some of the reasons why I believe that she was removed. I did say that on a show, and that too is the truth that I know that I'm going to share. But it doesn't, Rose, take away from the work that I saw in the Senate. If we are going to be fair about that, right? So I'm not a hypocrite. I do know that. And believe that she should, I believe in what Mr. Thorne did, that it was a correct thing. But I will also say that she did good work in the Senate. All right. Okay. Yes, the new senator. And you know what I want to say, Rose, and guys, please feel free to call in 246-236-7000. Okay. Teroni is calling, but as I'm setting up to talk with Teroni, let me just say here, Teroni, get ready to turn off your device so that there's no feedback. Let me just say, you know what this says to us, Barbados? It is saying to us that when people tell us, but if the prime minister, if Mia Mottley doesn't run the country, who can ever do it? We don't have anybody to do it. Do you see, Rose? You see what I'm saying? There are people who say, if Mia Mottley, if we don't know, who else are we going to? And we say, but Trisha Watson is so good. Who else? And we look as a 45-year-old man who's here, who's been in the Senate for over 10 years, 10 years of being in the Senate, near 10 years in the Senate. He was there all along, like David in the backside of the desert. He's 45. You know how many other qualified people we have in Barbados? A lot. I keep telling us we are enough. We are enough. Let's go to Teroni. Hi, good night, Teroni.
Yes, Blessings to everyone.
Yes, speak up.
What you call is very bothering and very disturbing, and I'm fed up. This BLP government need to take the tacticals of the private and government institutions. Because when my observation, there's a lot of dictatorship going on in the private sector and the government sector, which gone is even the healthcare. And I believe that what they're supposed to concern about, they got less concern about. All they about is dictatorship of corruption, and that is not good for our country and not good for the people of a democracy.
Yes. Yes.
And I believe that the management should be bold enough to tell the BLP government that they put there as to manage, and they're there to carry out their agenda of being of fair management. So when you check what's going on in Barbados right now, it's very sad.
Yes. Yes.
So just know, political side, they want to go up a certain order that if for them corruption or them agenda, you will be victimized in the healthcare and all across the board. And they do not like that.
So you're saying they have their tentacles in everything?
Exactly. We need change.
Yes.
Or, as I said, maybe one party China of a little Barbados.
Yes. Well, thank you, Teroni, and you're so right in that, because that's why so many persons are afraid. They're afraid to speak up whether they work for government or they work for private, because the government has their tentacles in both the public and private sector. Thank you so much. God bless.
Okay, God bless and positivity, everyone.
Yes, thanks for calling. Thank you. Guys, we need some more to call. I want to thank this young man. He's not afraid, right? He's not afraid to think. And I saw somebody saying, boy, there's some people, no matter what you do, they just don't, when they make up their mind that, they're going to be destructive in their comments, then they will be. Somebody put up that the gentleman here was reading a teleprompter. That Andre was reading a teleprompter. That's not true. I was sitting there. All the media were sitting there, and nobody was reading a teleprompter. He was speaking straight. He wasn't reading anything at all. And let's stop again, you see what I mean, Rose? The propaganda, that machine that we put in place. Somebody put here, though, this man is Abraham Millington. I wish he would call in. Mr. Abraham Millington, I'm feeling you. I understand what you're saying here, because, as I said, is my friend has whose relative got killed in there because of lack of, it would appear, lack of supervision. But he's saying the same eyes kept on the government industrial school for internal parasites. Similar constant watch must be placed where legitimate power is given to right-thinking people to protect those with mental challenges, right? Lest the odd insider think they can violate the vulnerable. And we tend to this is the same thing I'm saying, Mr. Millington, where we were all up in arms over the girls' industrial school, because it's girls. Some of these same things were happening where the boys were. And we're hearing of abuse at the psychiatric hospital. But those things don't matter to us, because we've told ourselves that the girls' lives matter, to borrow that terminology and that phrase. Yes, I'm a female, but I tell you something. The way that we are operating, a lot of times, our men, Miss Corbin, are being marginalized in this country. Sometimes they can't even get to see their children. And look at who is dying. And look at what we're doing today. Look how many this man was put in this space today. Yesterday as a senator in this position, and the women and there are women's groups that are complaining when we have a female prime minister and a female president, and females are heading most of the ministries. A lot of the PS, when you look, especially in this government, we are female led. But us as females, sometimes because we you know what, unless you have boy children, sometimes you don't realize. But remember, you are female, but you have boy children, you have husbands, you have brothers, you have uncles. And the same energy that we put in the girl industrial school, we need to put it at the psychiatric hospital. Yeah. So yeah. But Miss Corbin, there's a call coming in. There's a call, Miss Corbin. 1 second. While we wait for you to come in, could you please turn down your device? Thank you so much. Thanks for calling. Good night.
Blessed good night to you, Marcia.
Yes, good night. You are live on the Marcia Week show. Thank you for calling.
You hit the nail on the head just now. I like to look at things at times from a different angle. And we just be calling for change. But I am asking myself, are we ready for the change that we just be calling for? I've noticed that men now are taking their rightful place when it comes to leadership. And all of a sudden, we have women's group now getting maybe to say that the men are causing some kind of disturbance in not allowing women to speak and such like. What about when the women were speaking all the time and the men wasn't speaking? I believe that there is some kind of strategy going on in the atmosphere that we are not aware of. And change is coming, but we have to be not only looking for the change, but we have to accept the change. At times, the way how change comes along, we don't like it. But I believe that they always say, God is doing something. This is the first time I'm watching the conference, and I'm noticing that Ralph Thorne is allowing the ministers responsible for the ministries to speak. What is happening over on the other side? Is she allowing the people responsible for the ministries to speak, or is she speaking for them, or having other people to speak for them? I believe that a change is coming, and if we are looking for the change, we have to say to ourselves that regardless of however the change comes, we are going to accept it because we are looking for the change. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very well said. Very well said. Because Mr. Thorne was comfortable enough to sit back and to let this man and to let him speak. And that was great. That was really, really great. Go ahead, Rose.
I smile again because at one point in the press conference, I turned to my husband and I said, with no respect to the leader, look at Ralph. Look at Ralph. Ralph leaning back in the chair, head back, and he's saying, talk your talk. He seemed so at ease and demonstrating confidence in the persons that he has who can speak to their portfolio. And I thought that was a plus. And another thing, Marcia, this
Yes,
thing
real quick, I
about
have somebody on the line. Go
okay,
ahead.
and I'll come back to that.
Yes, let me go. Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes. Please, good night. Could you please put your device on mute and get ready to speak to the Marcia Week Show. Good evening. You are live on the Marcia Week Show.
Good evening. My name is Judy Jelks.
Good evening, Judy. I know you.
I understood that Marcia Cuttle is no longer with the BLP. So what will become of that Cybercrime Act? Another thing, the government should take themselves out of the hospital, all kind of entities, stop dictating what is to go on in the people places, and stop victimizing people because they're not a BLP.
So you're against the victimization, but let me say, I agree, because that is one of the reasons, why a lot of people don't even want to call in. They're afraid of victimization. They're afraid. They don't want to go on the marches, all these different things, because they are afraid that they're going to be victimized by this government. And that's why we need a change of government. But I think you're making reference to what Mr. Thorne was saying about Marcia Cattle. Before she was put back, replaced as a minister, there was a time where she was removed as a minister. So that's what he was speaking about today. But she's back as a minister.
Anyhow, I would like to know what happened to the Cybercrime Act, so that should be demolished also.
Yes. We are waiting now to hear what the Senate is going to say about that, because it's at the level of the Senate, and so that is something that we are waiting to hear what is going to happen there, and we're keeping alert. I know there's a social media campaign that is being put together for that now.
And another thing, I would like them to call election, because I cannot take this government any longer. I am sick and tired, and I need a change. I need my Prime Minister, Mr. Ralph Thorne, to be the Prime Minister of Barbados. Thank you very much.
God bless you, Judy. God bless you. There are lots of people who want a change. Yeah? Yes. I would really want to hear from Abraham Millington if he's in a position to call us. 236-7000. Rose, go ahead. I know there was something you wanted to say. Go ahead, man.
Yes, Marcia, commenting on what would have been in the chat on Senator Worrell reading from a teleprompter. There is a fallacy that needs to be debunked, that the only person in Barbados who can speak eloquently, persuasively, without a script is the Prime Minister.
Yes.
It begins and ends with her.
Yes, Rose.
And that is a fallacy that must be debunked.
Yes.
You know why? Because in recent times, this administration has had access to the mic and to the lights called camera. And therefore, all we have been seeing on the platform prior to 2018 election campaigning was the Prime Minister. On every occasion, right up to international platforms, we have seen her speaking without teleprompter, speaking extemporaneously, and speaking on a wide range of subjects. And we are seeing the mimicking. We see it with the vice president in the Senate, it's the only orator in the upper house. We have seen it in the lower house where there are certain persons who get up. We've seen it with the Minister of Education. We've seen it we've seen it in the House. We've seen some younger ministers speaking. So there is a notion that nobody else can speak as they can.
Yes.
And even to the point where anything said outside of that grouping is dismissed, or put aside.
Yes.
That fallacy must be debunked.
Excellent point, Rose. We can come back to that once we have some time. I think that's
Yes,
a
please.
great point that you are raising there. Let me just go to I asked Mr. Abraham Millington to call me because I really like what he's saying, and I'm just gonna put him. Mr. Millington, while we get you ready to address the Master Week show, can you turn down your devices? If you're listening to us on a device, we would be kind enough to turn it down so that we want to hear you properly. Thank you so much. Hi, Mr. Millington. Good night. You're live on the Marcia Week show.
Yes, hi, good night. How are you doing?
Doing
how are you
good. Doing good. First of all, let me just commend you for being brave. And I should not even have called out your name, but that's the only way I could have gotten your attention to tell you to call. But
That's okay. That's okay.
That's okay. Yes, go ahead. I
Yes.
really like what you're saying, and I think it's something that the the spokesperson on health and Senator Andre Worrell said today that they are going to be looking into what's happening at the psychiatric hospital. So I'm very keen on what you have to say. Go ahead, sir.
Well, without giving away too much as it relates to health matters, I've always had family. Well, if you know my surname, I don't have to say much more. But I've always had family involved in health, and both here and overseas. But what I must say is that it is concerning that a person or a group of people known for more or less, not necessarily battery of common or mild, but any form of abuse as it relates to gender, it would not necessarily find themselves an advocate for against the same thing. And that is very concerning because especially when you're dealing with people that are being I think the appropriate way to say it is having mental challenges.
Yes.
You know that a person like that, under the law, they are not looked on as altogether sometimes capable of certain the autonomy. That's the better word. That's the better way to say it.
Yes.
And what has to happen is that just like how we had the government industrial the government industrial school had to be very much monitored, less voices that maybe deem, oh, he or she's, or they're troublemakers, so don't take their word. The same thing has to happen in the psychiatric arena because we all watch TV, we all watch movies, and we see that sometimes, though a person might have psychiatric challenges, that person, there's the odd time the person is telling the truth.
Yes.
And you can't, as a country or as a facility or whatever you can't just say, okay, don't mind him, don't mind her, whatever. But and this has to start from like in the home as well too, because when a child says something is so, you can't say, especially if you train a child to tell the truth, you just can't ignore children. That's why children that are ignored like that, they tend to be very, very violent and manic, especially from primary school. They carry that manic behavior into adult life and violence, right?
Yeah. So what you're saying there is quite it is quite deep. I'm reading into a lot of what you're saying. It's very, very deep. I have to say, Mr. Millington. And would you say that how important it is, you think, for there to be some investigation into the psychiatric hospital, because you're comparing it based on what I read there, unless I'm mistaken, you're comparing it to the GIS, the Girl Industrial School. Do you think that there might be some issues there that people need to look at?
Well, what I would say is this: so long as you're dealing with humanity,
yes.
So long as you're dealing with there's something called crime always operates in the form of opportunity, and we have to understand that because some person is deemed a troubled child, and I hate to hear that kind of somehow I don't like to hear that kind of talk, because or if some person is deemed with mental challenges, we understand that. But I don't like the idea of labeling children troubled children, because I think that even to do that too sometimes is a kind of derogative.
Yes.
But what I'm trying to say is that both persons, a child that you may think has some I would say challenges, as well as an adult who has mental challenges, you cannot ignore that people who conduct are privileged to have certain authority and autonomy, that they of themselves may not need constant what's the word I'm trying to find, assessment and counterability, because because if this is not done, it is just like, you go from health to accounting. You can't say, okay, it's a politician, and I can close my eyes and know that every cent will go where it's supposed to go. It doesn't work. Life does not work like that. It just doesn't work like that. You can't. If that was so, then there would be no need for the police. There would be no need for any person to police garbage being dumped, or any kind of policing for that matter. The world would just function, and there would be no need for any checks and balances. Everything would just go hunky dory. But that's just not how life goes.
Yes. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for your contribution, and I'm gonna save your number, because this is something that having heard, and I think because sometimes you have people related or connected to you have gone through something, it causes you to look further, to look deeper into that, and so yes.
I must one last before I go. What really pains me is that I excelled in the area of law and society back there, and the masters in music is just another thing. But what I'm trying to say is that
I know who I'm talking to. Go ahead. Yes.
Right. So you have persons in the country that were very skilled in certain areas, and if some person in the room is starting to choke, you're not going to call a baker.
No.
If some person is starting to choke, you're not going to start to call a mason. So essentially, what I'm saying is that if we as a people don't use our technocrats, or if technocrats start to keep silent, that's a good sign. I can leave you on that.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
Well,
thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Millington. I'm going to keep your number. All right. Thank you so much
keep
for
up the good
calling.
work. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. If you're listening and you know of anything that is happening there at the psychiatric hospital that is not supposed to happen to those persons, those patients who are, who are sick, they're there because they're not well. And if you know of anything, say something. Call us 236-7000. 236-7000. We are going to keep you. It will be anonymous. Okay, nobody will know where we got the information from, but I think it's important because those are people who they can't do anything for themselves. We have to do it for them, you see. So it's important that if you know something is happening there, that you call us. We need to put our attention on the psychiatric hospital. A whole man was killed there, a whole man. And you know what? We don't do much about it, Rose, again, because there's some lives that are more important than others. In our society, we tend to do that. Some lives are more important than some. And so we say, oh, he probably was a madman anyway, because he's at the psychiatric. But he has family. He has family that's mourning his death right now.
And that is why I'm so glad, Marcia, that Senator Worrell sought in his presentation to bring in the psychiatric hospital and that recent issue into the discussion, and has asked for that investigation into the incident.
Yes.
Because I don't know if I missed it, but I did not hear that call or and that attention beyond the announcement of the death and the expression of condolences to the bereaved family. So I'm glad that it has come out, and there may be persons in our forum that can come together, and Marcia work with you to make a presentation on mental health and
Yes.
responses and how the need for what kind of treatment and facilities that we may need to have to respond to mental health issues. We're not saying that. Then I know professionals and committed persons at the institution, but because our cameras are more fixed on the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, we might be missing out that area
Yes.
that is just as critical as because that is the lone facility for persons who have mild to severe mental illnesses. And we also know too that that is sometimes the first resort in the magistrate courts. Send that person down to the psychiatric hospital to sort his head out before his next appearance at the courts. So I do thank Senator Worrell. One takeaway for me is that he also sought to include a focus on the psychiatric hospital.
Yes. Thank
So
you so
that is
much.
something
Yeah.
we could look at, Marcia.
Yes.
A
Yes.
session on mental health.
Yes, Rose. And I didn't get a chance to make a note, but I know you will send me a little reminder on it, because I think that we should. I really, really think that we should. So you can send me a little reminder on it, Rose, as you know. Yes, so that I follow through on it, and people are commenting in the section here, and I got a comment today from somebody, not a comment, a request. Somebody says, I need food, and I don't have any work. They won't give my boyfriend any contract anymore from the government. He builds houses, and I mean, when I listened, I said, oh my God, I really hope and pray that this person doesn't have a mental breakdown. And we hear it, Rose. I'm not exaggerating. Almost every day you hear situations like that. I'm sure you as well. And I worry, and I sent it to somebody today, and I said, I'm hoping this lady stays strong. Just so the grace of God that go us. So we don't know when, we have to trust God. We have to trust God, because everything that's happening is so stressful. You're hearing of the death every day, and all that's happening every day. You know, We wanted to show some more videos. It's only 6 minutes that we have left, Rose. Believe it.
Yes,
Time
please.
flies and you're having fun. But what I will say is this, that we had tonight, or a little over 900 of us who were on here tonight. And there are so many things happening in Barbados. And people are calling for a change. I heard that, Rose. I'm sure you heard that as well. Next week, Saturday, the 7th of September, the people are asking for a march. I don't do a march unless the people ask for the march, because it's not Marcia Week's march. It's the people's march. And so I'm saying to us that if it is that we really want to change, do we want to change? Next week, Saturday, we're asking everybody to come out for the march. The first in the series, this new series, we are going to be dealing with the crime situation. Yes, we're going to get to the prices and the petrol. We're building, we're going to get there. But the thing that is really, threatening our existence right now, like literally, it's a crime. It's a crime. And we want to bring awareness to this. So this is next week, Saturday, the 7th. I want us, folks, we're going to wear white. Right? We're going to wear white. Good job, Dave. So let's just play this. Let's play this little clip here. And then we go back making an appeal. Go ahead, Dave.
Andre mentioned cost of living as something that concerns him. And we know that during the Fandel Short administration, there was a protest march related to the high prices in Barbados. The prices have gone higher, so I would expect that any time that there's a protest march, that protest march should last longer.
Let we march, let we march, let we march. Barbados!
Time for people to get up and make a bargainize.
Time to wake up.
Now them come from country and town. Kick down Jericho wall.
Opposition fall in line.
Politicians run and ball.
Let we march, let we march, let we march.
That's just our little ad that we've started already, and we're going to get all of these things are going to come out, and we are going to do this. Listen, folks, we need everybody to come out. Come on out. We're going to dress in white. The way I see it, Rose, I don't even know if we need any music. We don't need, do we really even need a truck for that one? You know, it could be a solemn march where we're just singing and walking and praying. Could it just be that? I don't know, something different. We're all in white with the placards with the 33 names on it. I'll have to see if CG can help us to get it done. You know, but give me your ideas. You know, it happens all on this show. So let me know. Message me 236-7000. It's not my march. It's your march. It's our march. Right, Rose? It's all of us.
Yes.
And it's an awareness. We want to bring an awareness to it. When we did the last roadside parliament, and the people who held a name of someone who died, they told me that it affected them. They wanted to do something. And that is why we put up the pictures and we say, hold the placard with the name and the picture on it. Stand up. It's somebody's child, and this soul was on the earth. So you know, so let's hear your ideas about the march, and let us do it together. You know, you can message me 236-7000. But we're going to get the request from the police. Let us know, should we do the same route that we were doing before? You know, do we go to the same route from Kensington and we go all the way and we come up, you know, Rose, and come up? Do we do the same route? Is that what we need to do? You know, let us know, because by Monday we have to go down to the police. Okay, so let us know exactly what you want us to do, what's in your heart to do. Right, everybody, get your white now. white shirt, white dress, white, what, something white, and those placards with the names on them. That's what we're
And
going to.
Marcia,
Yes.
this is one time now that you don't have to feel threatened. You don't have to be afraid to walk. This is not a march against government. This is not a march against the cybercrime bill or the child protection law or any of those things now. This is a solidarity march or walk against something that affects all.
Yeah, I'm writing as you're
Against the
talking because
pain
we're saying
and the
some
hurt
things.
in our country due to gun violence. So you don't have to be afraid it's time to come out. And they weren't afraid when in 2017, when the last administration was in, and the administration that is in now called a march against the government, which
Yes.
was a kind of a march to overthrow the government. They came out, Marcia. They came out that evening in the rain and they marched and they assembled. And the result was 30-0. And therefore, this march that you are calling for, you're spearheading, is not a march now. So let's shift from march. Let's say it is a daytime vigil. It's a daytime walk,
A
identifying
remembrance. Yeah.
with others who've been hurt and pulling ourselves together in solidarity and in unity because we don't want this to continue. So don't be afraid now. You won't be marked. You won't be victimized. You won't be lose that contract or that pay. You won't be targeted. It's something that we all can be part of, right? So do
Amen.
come out.
Amen. Amen, Rose. Thank you. I wrote it down, daytime vigil. You see, all of that, this is where it happens. I tell you right here, all of everything, it happens here. We can't, of course, the intricate details of things we can't plan online, but the ideas, it's your ideas that we carry out. And then, people want to say, oh, Marcia, you're doing a great job with the marches, but it's all of us, really. It's all of us. Yes, we put the thing on our backs, I make sure it happens, but the ideas come from you guys and we carry out the ideas, okay? Yeah, somebody's saying it's a walk. A walk for peace, a walk for peace and life. Oh boy, I tell you, these shows, every show, you don't know how it's going to go. You just don't know how it's going to go. Yeah. Well, guys, thank you. This was a different show tonight, but a good one. Thank you all so
And
very
plan
much.
too.
Yeah. Excuse me, please.
I said it was unplanned, the two of us together,
Yes,
because
yes,
I was
yes.
just coming on, doing my bit and exiting.
And exit, you
But
have to go and eat.
we
But
had a
this
good
time
time
you stayed
together.
on. It just kind of flowed, and it actually flowed. Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. So let's, guys, this time around, let's everybody come out and let's do this vigil. Do this daytime vigil. Do this daytime vigil. Oh God, I love it. I love it. I love you, Barbados. I love you, Miss Rose Corbin. Everybody who is on here tonight. I feel the camaraderie. I feel the love. We love our country, Barbados. We do. God bless you all. Yeah. Dave, thank you for that, preparing that today. You felt led to prepare it, and it worked out so well. And you're going to see more of those ads coming up, and we ask you to share it. More importantly, go, if you don't have something white, get something white, right, for Saturday, and bring up the children, everybody. They're still out of school, so bring everybody, okay? Bring everybody. God bless you all. Yes, God bless you all. Dave, I won't say end the stream because he has to play. I think Dave, please pray pretending because a little boy is requesting that his mother, they stay up and they love pretending. So we have not played that a long time. Thank you, Dave. In the meantime, folks, I was telling
English. Pretending to be good. Pretending to be good. Just pretending to be good. Pretending to be good. I just pretending to care about people. 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 Pretending. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. I'm pretending to be good. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people.
Caswell missed his song. I think Caswell missed his song.
Dancers, come forward, walk out. This one I got worldwide.
Just days after former government backbencher Ralph Thorne crossed the floor, he's taken the oath of office as leader of the opposition.
Cross the floor, let me do it some more like Ralph Thorne. Ralph Thorne. On the other side, cross the floor, cross the floor, cross the floor, let me do it some more like Ralph Thorne. Wait there, Ralph Thorne. Dancing, come back again. Our turn is the latest trend. Everybody know link up my friend. This one designed to be and more will be left over. Dancing, come back again. Our turn is the latest. Are these trips so important? Link up my friend. This one designed to be living our men. Yes, I'm for real, member. I am for real. Don't let me talk out your business. Don't let me talk out your business. All right. And I can't decide, so I'm moving with the die. Cause I'm ready to mash up the body. Oh gosh, I can mash up the body. So let me do this now. Cause I'm ready to mash up the body. Oh gosh, I can mash up the body. Yes, yes. And let me go now. Cross the floor, cross the floor, cross the floor. Let me do it some more like Ralph Thorne. Ralph Thorne. On the other side, cross the floor. There has to be some order here. Cross the floor, let me do it some more like Ralph. The Minister of Finance is not party to this present transaction, Your Honor. Ask him to keep quiet, please. And I say to you further, Mr. Speaker, that my conscience, my location here is related to my conscience. I said it last year. It is well with my soul. Take a wine on the left side, and I can't decide, so I'm moving with the tide, moving with the tide. Take a wine on the right side, take a wine on the left side, and I can't decide, so I'm moving with the tide. Cause I'm ready to mash up the body. Oh gosh, I can mash up the body. So let me do this now. Cause I'm ready to mash up the body. Oh gosh, I can mash up the body. Yeah, yeah. And let me go now. Cross the floor, cross the floor, cross the floor. Let me do it some more like Ralph Thorne. Ralph Thorne. On the other side, cross the floor, cross the floor, cross the floor. Let me do it some more like Ralph Thorne. Ralph Thorne.
That is my man, so whether he cross or in cross, he will always be there for us.
I came to a point where I had to take the decision that if my philosophical and political views do not accord with those of government in terms of its legislation, in terms of its policy, the relationship becomes untenable.
Good night, folks. No more songs. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
good night.